All right, so I just called out one of my biggest trades I've ever called out before in the 2 years I've been trading. This was on the stock itself, so this was not an option. So if you know me, if you've seen my videos, I only trade, or I usually only trade options, but in this case, this was a just straight equity trade, which was buying the shares itself on the stock. So this is the monthly time frame. I called this out back in December. I think the early part of December, when this was sitting around $2 a share, and you can see on the chart right now, this thing is sitting almost at $11, which obviously I think it can go a lot higher. So this isn't just the begin. This is just the beginning, I think. But anyways, I called this out back in December, and I'm gonna show you the exact text I've sent. Right, right. I texted my dad back on December 3rd. I said I found my next buy, QBTS sitting at $2.99. I said I was risking $2.50, and I think $5 and $10 could hit. Those were my first initial two targets. I didn't think it would be this quick. I'm not gonna lie, but I mean, 6 months later, right, we're sitting at 10. I mean, even that first month of me calling it out, it already hit 10. And then we had a couple, and I'll go through the chart. But so I had the exact text right here. And I even texted one of my boys. I said, QBTS is my next buy. And this is on December 4th. And I'm going to show you the exact days of when this thing started to rip. And it was almost to a T the exact time, right? So this couldn't have been called out any better. So this is the monthly time frame. So each candle represents a month. And you can see that even that for that first month. So this is that November candle here. So this is the November candle, or I'll mark this out. So this is the November candle that got closed above this 250 level here, right? So you can clearly see we had a lot of resistance at this $4 or $2.50 level that couldn't get over, right? It's been about 2 years under this 250 level that has basically been a big base that we've been printing under this level. And once that November candle was closed, right, with a lot of volume, as you can see, the volume on the bottom has really started to pick up since that candle was closed, right? So that November candle, even though this is a huge volume candle compared to the other previous months, right? This was not even close to the volume that printed the next month and the following months after. So a lot of this is a very hot theme, right? This is like quantum. If you've seen how the stocks have been moving, right? Quantum has been a very, very hot name that's been traded over the last few months. So this was called out almost perfectly. And let me go through the daily time frame. So obviously this is the monthly time frame, but this is all I traded this on the daily, right? This is how I was able to identify the day I wanted to take it. So you can see this is that 250 level here that was marked off on the monthly time frame, and you can clearly see this is the month, or the November candle that pretty much printed out to the upside to pretty much close that monthly candle over, right? That was the one that started the initial push out or breakout, sorry. But yeah, so that was that November candle, and I said on December 3rd, right? December 3rd, which is this candle here, right? This is the one that showed a lot of strength and a lot of support here. So once we had that breakout from resistance and showed support, right? That's told me everything I wanted to know. So we found out that there's a little setup here brewing right under that, or right over that 250 level, right? And then on December 4th is when I texted my friend this. So I entered around $2, I think it's 78 cents or 80 cents, something like that. So we're sitting right around, or actually no, it's right around $2.97, right? So $3 risking 250, right? So I was risking a 20% downside, right? I think I wanted a closer entry down to 250, but we didn't get that, right? We got that $3 that entry risking only 50 cents to the downside, right? So if we look at 250, which is 15%, so a 15% downside, and my targets, like I said, were $5 and $10. So that $5 first target was already 72% up, 72% to the upside. So I'm risking 15% to make 72%. That's a really good risk reward. And then if we look at what $10 is sitting at, that $10 that second take profit point was, I mean, 300% almost, right? 270 or 250%. So those two, I mean, that's a really, really, really good risk reward. Obviously, I didn't really expect it to move as quickly as it did, but it did. So definitely got lucky on that. But that was pretty much the entry, right? Like literally just finding and identifying a hot theme, right? One of the more active traded themes, and finding a big base break and retest, right, with volume. This literally the only three things that I needed to know that made me take the trade. So taking that trade from around $3 and riding it all the way up to around $10. And this is honestly, there's still a lot more room to run here, right? So this might not even be done. I've obviously taken a lot of profits on this. So I don't have a lot of my position left in here, which I wish at this point I did. But obviously I took a lot more off on that first month when we already, ripped up 180% in 1 month. And basically we did start trending sideways for the last 4 months, and now we're starting to get back, get a lot more buying here in this month of May. But yeah, if we even get above like $12, $13, I think we can easily see 20 and potentially even 30. So that would even been right, if we waited till 30, that's 1,000% trade, right? I don't know how long that would ever take. It might not even ever get there, but if it does, I think $20 is more realistic. Maybe even this year. So that would even be a 700% trade, which is an insane call out. I'm not even trying to hype myself up, but this is crazy. One of my best trade call outs I've ever called out. But that was it, man. Simple, quick, and easy. That was just the way I was able to identify this. And yeah, so stay tuned for the next one. Hopefully I call out another banger like this.